important component. Then I'd like to throw open to the floor for any questions from the media.
So
Matthew, you're itching to go.
So gentlemen, the octopus system in Hong Kong was developed by Octopus, right? But Octopus and Thales is cooperating on the nationwide Dutch system. Is that right?
Yes, correct.
So that's your model that you're working on for New Zealand, is it?
Yes. Yeah.
And in Dubai as well. We have worked also with Octopus in Dubai to deliver this kind of system.
Right. So can you explain really where the boundaries between your two operations will be?
Well, we are the boss. We take the money, and they do the work. You know, really, we operate the prime contractorship, and the Octopus part is the clearinghouse, the financial part of the project. Maybe you can.
The sort of central body. So you have all the systems spread around, the different operator systems. All the transactions come together in that central body. So it does the financial settlement, but it also looks at the security and the card management, and the data is all housed in that particular area.
So Thales will provide equipment like the gates for a railway station, all the equipment for the transaction, and all the I would say the connection between the central system and all those equipment, and the overall system integration.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other questions?
There will be.
Simon.
Fergus, if I could ask you, when are we going to see this operating?
Well, it's basically a 3-year rollout for the whole system, but as we've already said, we expect to have the basic functionality operating by the Rugby World Cup, which is September next year. So in terms of what that means, that we'll be working through that in the first stage of now we've got the contract signed today. One of the first tasks, of course, which Pierre could talk about in more detail, is to define exactly what the specification is, how it works out. During that stage, we'll work out exactly how we're going to roll it out.
Right, so there's going to be limited, you're aiming for limited operability before the World Cup?
Yes, well, there'll be a good functionality at the World Cup. The question is exactly what is covered at that time.
And just one more question, if I may, then I'll shut up. There's been some issue about New Zealand Bus, putting in its own one. And are we going to have compatibility, or are you going to enforce them to have compatibility if they're going to continue to be an arta contractor for the World Cup?
So the short answer to that is yes from two angles. First of all, New Zealand Transport Agency is setting up a national standard, and there'll be a requirement on over time, all the ticketing systems in New Zealand will operate to that standard. Secondly, the Auckland ticketing system, which is run by arta, all operators that are contract to us will be required to take part in that. So the Auckland ticketing system, which we're rolling out, will be across all modes, bus, rail and ferry, and all operators will have to be part of that.
Right. Is there a possibility that New Zealand Bus will be operating two systems if they can't be compatible with the Thales system?
Well, I think one of the things to be worked through is exactly how other systems, if you like, link in. The system has been designed as it is in the Netherlands so that you can use different suppliers' equipment, for example, and that they all sort of this plug-and-play type approach. But the basic clearinghouse, if you like, for the Auckland system will be run by arta, and that eventually will hand over to the New Zealand Transport Agency and one day be the whole national clearinghouse.
So the Infratil board member, the Snapper Services chairman and Infratil board member is raising the prospect of having at least 300,000 integrated tickets, as he puts on integrated tickets on the Auckland buses at least, by the time the first Thales card comes out. So he's saying, will you require Aucklanders to swap that card, or was that answer somehow in the previous question?
Well, just to be really clear, all our operators are required to put, before they put on new ticketing equipment, to have that approved by arta, and they're required to participate in the Auckland ticketing system. All our operators have already been advised of that, and we're working through the details of that with New Zealand Bus right now.
So Snapper Services making a big gamble, taking a big gamble.
comment on that.
Well, no, but surely you can comment on that because they say they're going to put in 300,000 tickets by the time you guys have got one off the ground.
Well, I think our rollout will be reasonably speedy, how many tickets they have running on their system. However, as I've pointed out, there is a requirement, and New Zealand Bus and SNAPA were well aware of this before they made their announcement last week, that their machines will have to comply with the New Zealand Transport Agency standard, and they will have to participate in the ACE scheme.
So this is the machines and the buses you're talking about?
There's different levels of componentry of that, but yes, there's the machines, there's the depot backup, the card. You know, the way that these schemes work overseas, such as the Netherlands, and these gentlemen are experts on that, is that you can use different cards within the one scheme because they have to meet the standard.
But in, say, in Auckland's case though, when you move back beyond the ticket machine and the bus, there'll be no place for, say, the SNAPA Clearinghouse system in Auckland.
Well, I think the answer to that is that we have to work through the details of how a SNAPA type system would collaborate, if you like, with the Auckland ticketing system, and that's something which NZTA are also very much a part of. And there's an industry briefing tomorrow which New Zealand Transport Agency is running with industry to cover this sort of issue. So that, there is a potential for commercial arrangements that deal with these sorts of things. There's two different levels to this, the technical issues and the commercial issues.
But have you studied the SNAPA card to see whether it would be compatible or not?
Do you mean in terms of technology, Matthew?
Yeah.
Well,
the card they've got in circulation at the moment.
Yeah, I can't really comment on that, not being a technical person, but I believe there is some work that would have to be done to make it compliant.
Rob, did you have a question?
Been asked.
It's been asked.
Sorry, can I keep going? So the 47 million is the capital cost. What are the operating costs?
The operating cost is broadly 4 million a year over 10 years.
So that's less than the previous estimate of operating costs.
Yes, I think it is. Yes.
So what's the reason for the difference in saving? Good deal.
Good negotiation.
So what are we getting for 47? Sorry, 47. What are we getting for $47 million?
What are you getting for the 47 million?
Yeah.
Well, that covers all the setting up the whole, not only the back office, but also all the equipment. So you've got all the rail equipment. And one of the things to be really clear about is this is a complete multimodal system. So, and setting up ticketing on rail is no small matter. We have over 40 rail stations in Auckland. You have to have facilities at each of those to be able to tag on or tag off. So anyone that's travelled on these sort of systems internationally knows that they work because there's good infrastructure. So the capital cost covers that infrastructure, as well as putting infrastructure at the wharves to be able to enable ticketing on the ferries, bus stations, and there's the development work to set up the central clearinghouse.
Any other questions from the media? Right.
Can I say maybe one word, just to say that we would like to really open the communication with all the media. I mean, we have been pretty silent during all this process, and I think that it was fair to do that. But you will have in our team somebody able to communicate directly with you at any stage of this project. So Peter Beggs will be able to liaise with you, and also Emily, with our press relation, will be able at any stage of a project to give you all the information that we need. Again, it's for us, Mr. Chairman, a key project, and we are very, very proud and very happy to develop this project for Auckland and New Zealand.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I welcome all of you to join us in a celebratory drink.